All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. I've been on a little hiatus, but some things happened last night, or that made me decide to come out of hiatus. I was gonna stay. I was gonna stay like sequestered until my birthday, but um, my wife woke me up last night, and I was like, "What do you want?" And she was telling me about the fact that that Nick Cannon had been fired from CBS Viacom, which was no shock to me, because when I always notice that whenever there's somebody that I really like, that's because I like them because they're woke and they know what's going on. And Nick Cannon was one of those. I shouldn't say was, but is one of those people. And I'm very, I always liked him, and I always liked his story. And the deal is, don't get me wrong, I don't like everything, that he does or says, but what I'm saying is that as a young man, he's doing things the right way because he's always, been focused on getting his own stuff. And so, I love that about him. Now, also, I love the fact that he had a strong father. And if anybody knows his story, they know that his father told him what? Told him, look, don't just watch TV, but learn how to make TV. And that's what he did. So he listened to his pops, and he's like one of the best producers in the business right now. Even though Viacom and CBS seem to think that he's anti-Semitic. Now, I want to talk about those words, anti-Semitic. All right, that is code for this Negro is getting too big, and we need to shut him up. So anytime they talk about anti-Semitism, 9 times out of 10, that anti-Semitism is the result of what they think or what they believe is something against the Jewish race. And I don't like that, and I never have. And I can explain that through my background. My background is that I went to Cass Technical High School in Detroit, and then my dad moved us to Southfield, and when I got to Southfield High, there were about 10 black people, literally. I know now it's all black, but when I got there, back in the late 70s, there was only like 10 black people in the whole school. And all of us basically had, parents that were, that were successful or what we would call successful. And so we were attending that school. But the whole time that I was there, I recall like a lot of instances where there were racist things that were done to us and against us all the time. The only thing we were allowed to do basically was play sports or cheerlead or whatever. That's how it went down. But everything else, and even in those situations, I can recall like I had played football all my life, and I remember going there and and I knew I was better than everybody. I knew I was better than everybody that was on our team, except for one guy who I won't mention right now. But anyway, just to check it, he ended up getting a scholarship to the University of Michigan. So all I want to say is that, and as a matter of fact, and I was actually kicked out of Southfield High because a so-called Jewish teacher called my parents the N-word. And so I wasn't going for it, and so we got into a little altercation. So let me explain something. The fact of the matter is that that's the anti-Semitic thing is what they always use. They always use that, oh, you hate Jewish people or blah 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 blah. But you have to understand is that the Jewish people control the media, and that's why I keep saying about Jewish people, homosexuals, and pedophiles control the media. And if you don't acquiesce to their agenda, then they get rid of you or they blackball you. Ask, and it's been going on, and it just didn't start. It's been going on forever. since the media has been there. And there's all kinds of people who have all kinds of stories. The one that comes up to mind, like right now into my head, is Eartha Kitt. Because what they do is they use us because they know that we have the better show business, and they've been stealing from us in show business forever. So they use us to make money, but then they put us down, or they fire us, or they, just like like Bill Cosby's body of work. How you have all these television shows and not a single, and you have and now you have thousands of networks and channels and all this kind of stuff. But you mean to tell me there's not one single Bill Cosby show? Because and that's how I know that the whole Bill Cosby thing, that whole thing is just to tarnish his image. It's to tarnish his legacy. He has the greatest television legacy ever. You don't see Elvis Presley was a racist, but you can still find Elvis Presley movies and all that kind of stuff on TV. You still have Graceland. They didn't shut Graceland down. Why not? We know as a fact that John Wayne is a racist. We know there's a lot of different racist people who've been out there, and nobody, they're not taking their entire legacy and just eradicating it from the face of the earth. And we got to stop like buying into this. And then the whole Viacom CBS thing, and I've been telling y'all, I have been telling y'all for so long that the whole Viacom CBS thing is all in order to dumb us down. That's what they do. Even the whole thing right now, like the whole BET 40 celebration and all that kind of stuff, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Okay? We have not owned BET for 40 years. And the time that we did own BET, we had Bob Johnson, getting paid to dumb us down. And when he sold it to Sumner Redstone for whatever it was, $3 billion, he should have known something was wrong. Why? Because his wife divorced him. And I would love to talk to her to get the story. Somebody needs to talk to her and get the story. Because I'm telling you, the whole thing, some things are not about the money, and I keep telling y'all that. Y'all, black people are so enamored with money that they don't see like the real consequence of what happens. The real consequence of what happened when BET got sold is that we had no news, no information, no nothing, unless it was filtered through the Jewish community, as a matter of fact. Because they own all the major networks. They own everything. So we get what they want us to see. And there are gatekeepers keeping the gate and making sure that certain information doesn't get to us and certain information definitely gets to us. They want the information to get to us. Just like how many stories has the New York Times done on Nick Cannon? And I thank my wife for pointing this out to me. She said, "How many stories have you seen in the New York Times about Nick Cannon over the years?" I mean, except maybe when he married Mariah Carey. And then that was a Mariah Carey story. It wasn't a Nick Cannon story, like how great Nick Cannon was. It was how great is, and it's always the same way. It was basically a Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston type thing, and then they look down because they're looking at it from the standpoint of, well, how did this normal, everyday, ordinary black guy get like one of the most precious divas that we got? And that's because these brothers had talent. And that's because these brothers had charisma and savoir-faire. Right? So don't get the game twisted. The game is still the game. And even with all this Black Lives Matter stuff, and I want to point out that, that even in go look up the Black Lives Matter agenda, the Black Lives Matter agenda is not about black men. There's nothing in the Black Lives Matter agenda that talks exclusively about saving black men or saving black fathers or saving anything. And I'm really, and then I've been watching this show, and I actually have been watching TV. My wife got me hooked on. I know everything's about my wife, but she got me hooked on this show, and I'm just like watching. And I'm not gonna say the name of it, but she got me watching the show. And then there's a storyline in the show about a black couple, and the girl taking the baby and using the baby for money and all that kind of stuff instead of letting that man raise his child and raise his boy to a man. Yeah, and then the whole thing is y'all want to see us all eradicated and locked up and this, that, and the other thing, and we're the ones that are bringing culture to the world. We bring culture to the world. We bring culture to the world. There's no music, there's no art, there's none of that stuff without black men. I mean, you have to agree with me. You name me, and I go back to the post I did a couple of weeks ago. You name me 100 black singers, 100 white singers, 100 white musicians, 100 white athletes, 100 white anything that have changed the course of history of the world, and you can't do it. Name me 100, and in each of those fields, I can name you hundreds of black inventors. I can name you hundreds of black musicians. I can name you hundreds of black singers and dancers and all that, but you can't name that to me because it doesn't exist. And the only ones that do exist are the ones that you made famous through your media. Not through our media. And then the other thing is, and then here's the other thing, and we talk about this ad nauseum as well, is the fact that there really are no black stars unless other black people discover them, because you don't know what you're looking for. There is no Jamie Foxx without black people. In fact, there's no what's his name, Jim Carrey. There's no Jim Carrey without the Wayans. There is no, all of the people that y'all pump up and this, that, and the other thing, they wouldn't be if there were not people out there, people of color, who know talent. Because y'all clearly don't know talent. And then when y'all get somebody, y'all got enough power to make them fun. So y'all push Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish on us like all the time. But they're not the funniest black people. Eddie Griffin's funny as hell. Cat Williams, funny as hell. Where are the Cat Williams movies? Why ain't y'all making? Y'all should have Eddie Murphy, Cat Williams, and Eddie Griffin all in the movie. Even Eddie Murphy. And he's a genius. There's not, and y'all can't, y'all can bring forth all of the people y'all want. There is nobody that's done it better. And you can't say that there is. And that's not anti-Semitic. It's just saying, Lenny Bruce is no Eddie Murphy. And it's not anti-Semitic. It's just telling the truth. See, the truth is not anti anybody. The truth is the truth. Universal laws. That's why I talk about the universal laws all the time. The universal laws don't fight anybody. They're not racist. They don't do anything to anybody. But telling the truth somehow is anti-Semitic. No, it's just telling the truth of what y'all have done throughout history. It is what it is. So, nobody is against anybody, but how come I can't be pro me? I can't be pro me and pro my people and pro black. I can't do that. But if I'm pro my people, pro my family, pro black, pro, Africa, pro this, that, and other, then all of a sudden I'm against everybody else. That's not true. Simply is not true. I don't care what you do. Just don't bother me while I do what I do. Anyway, that's fast 15 minutes. I'm up. I gotta go. I might come on tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, love you. And remember, hit the like button, subscribe button, all the buttons and whatever. Love you. Independent Black Media.